Welcome GRD 121 Computer Graphics Fall 2020 to exercise 910, and this is going to be our Halloween exercise slash project. There's going to be a couple path tracing exercises, and then we're going to work on a flyer. And this exercise will kind of push the limits of what we can do with Gravit. There'll be some things that we can't necessarily do the same things in Gravit that we could do in Illustrator, but we'll come close. So we're going to see how we do with this. And it's going to involve a number of new operations that we haven't worked with yet. So I think it'll be a good exercise to kind of push us, and it'll allow us to be a little creative as well as far as putting in different kinds of elements and stuff like that. So let's get started. We're going to go to coursework first. And under Unit 8, I put this under Unit 8 because we're kind of starting the week here. You're just going to click on this link. Just like the previous one, you're going to have a started file to work with. So this is a shared file that you're going to save as your own. So you're going to click on that link first. And if you're in your account, it should open up in your account. And then what you're going to want to do is save it to your cloud and then put your last name on it. So I'm going to go over here and go File, Save to Cloud As, and I'm just going to put my last name on it. So I'll just put _ Homa R. I'll just do that, and you could do the same with your name, obviously. And then remember, just hit enter. And then before you start, make sure it syncs. It'll sync a little bit. Now this file will take saving and syncing a little bit longer because there's more going on here. Let me just show you around a little bit. There's 4 pages here. And the first page is a bat. You're going to trace a bat. Easy enough. The second one, you're going to trace a cat. A little more difficult. We don't have little points on here. This might take you a little while, but it's not too bad. There's a lot of straight lines down here. There's a couple things here. So this shouldn't be too bad to go around the cat. Maybe the most challenging part is making the eyes, because you're actually going to make a shape for the eyes and then kind of knock that out. I would kind of do the eyes in one shot, but I'll go over that. So I'll go over the bat, I'll go over the cat, and then this is a sample flyer. This is something we've done in Illustrator in the past, and it involved a lot of elements, tracing our own kind of shapes. We're even going to use an auto trace, and yes, Gravit has an auto trace too, so we could kind of bring in black and white artwork, bitmap artwork, and actually trace it. You don't have to sit there and trace the whole thing. So if you're thinking, oh man, I have to trace all these trees and corn stalks and all these kind of things here, you don't have to. You don't have to trace all them. We are going to trace our bat and our cat, and we'll throw that in there, but anything else we're going to use auto trace for. So that'll be pretty cool. And then we could also crop these things off here. A couple things that'll push the limits of what we can do in Gravit is some of these roughen effects. You could see on this text here, there's like a roughen effect around the letters. We're just going to find a font that has a rough kind of outline on it. And we'll put multiple outlines. We could do that in Gravit, just like they have here. We can do these white outlines around this text so it kind of pops from the background. We can do all that in Gravit. Some of these warp kind of things we can't really do in Gravit. We can put them on a path, but we can't warp them. You see how they're kind of going up in the end and things like that. They don't really have a warp tool or warp operation or envelope. You might hear it called an envelope, where you could kind of make something bend to a certain shape. We can just put it on a path, so it's a little bit on the primitive side, but we'll do okay. And down here, some of the things we can't do in Gravit, these little rough edges on these hills here, and I'm not zooming in yet. Well, I could zoom in here just to show you. These little rough edges here, we can do something. We have like a freehand knife tool that we're going to cut out of something, but there's actually a tool in Illustrator that you can kind of hover over here and it'll kind of vibrate and add anchor points and make these real rough edges, just like we could with the edge of the text here. We can't do that in Gravit, but that's okay. We'll find alternatives, but we can still do something similar to that. We can still make this path, and we could just make an S shape out of a rectangle and then just move the anchor points in. So we'll do that pretty much the same, or so it'll look the same. And I guess that's about it. Everything else we should be able to do in Gravit. We're just putting a gradient on the background, 2 shapes of hills, a little path here, and then we're going to throw in some clip art. I already have text for you here, and I'll show you some things that we could do with text. We're going to put text on a path here, and these will just put multiple outlines on. This actually has multiple outlines. It has a white outline and a black outline. We can do that very easily in Gravit, which is nice. So that's what we're going to work towards, but we're going to start off with the bat cat. And just to point out over here in your pages, again, we have a bat, we have a cat, and those images are locked, so you'll be able to trace over them. And then there's a sample flyer, and this is locked just so you can look at it. It's just meant to look at. And then the flyer is going to have your text on. And I put this in a font. It's called Pt1, and it's kind of a Halloweenish looking font. So I just put it in that for now. And I'll lock this back up for now. But we can just use this font. We could put this on a path. We'll put that in a path. And then everything else is just a real basic kind of font. The Open Sans bold, I think we have for that. So, and that's actually, I would recommend that people do that anyway, instead of looking for a lot of really odd fonts. So I think on the other one, we just used a regular font, put a roughen on. But since we don't have a roughen, we'll just use this font that's right out of Graphic, and we'll see how it goes. So there's going to be a lot of layers here we're going to work on. And when we put a lot of elements on, you can see even here with the text, there's all these different text things. They're all separate blocks because I figured it was easier to kind of edit them. I just put them in a layer group, this text layer group. And then when you're done, that just goes over top of everything. So that way we could turn that off when you're building your hills and putting your border on with your gradient. And then when you start throwing clip art on top. So there's a lot to do on this sample flyer. And again, you don't have to do it exactly like that. I mean, this is just a sample, but we've kind of done things like that. So if you want to follow it close to this, or if you want to put in your own kind of stuff, we put in things like zombies and all kinds of stuff at the bottom. You don't have to put a witch and an owl up there. We're going to have bats in here. So whatever you want to do. But the general idea we're going to try to follow here, just to learn a lot of these techniques that we're using in here. All right, so to get started, let's do the bat because that'll be quick. So for part one here, we'll do the bat. That'll be the easiest thing, and this won't take long at all. So we're going to trace a bat. Now, you've been tracing things. Now, this is a little more of a challenge because we don't have the little red points of where to put things. So we're going to have to think about that a little bit. Let me see how big I could get here without filling up my screen. So we're going to trace this with the pen tool just like you've been doing. So for the bat, we're going to go here onto the pen tool, and we're going to take away the fill right away. You could take away that fill, so we're not drawing with that. And you could even give it a color. So if you want to give it red or purple or pink or something, you could start off with that. So I'm going to start tracing my bat. And I'll do that first, and that'll be part one. So I'm just going to click here. Remember how we did that. Now we have this like S shape. It comes down and it has this little loop here. What I think I'm going to do is do the arch, then the S shape. So I'm going to put an extra point right here. So I'm just going to click and drag and kind of just finish off that arch of the bat wing. And then, now if I go here, if I just move my mouse, I'm not clicking, I'm not dragging, I'm just moving my mouse here, you could see that that handle coming out is making that loop way too much. So to get rid of that, just get rid of the forward handle. And remember, you just click here, that removes the forward handle, then you're kind of starting fresh. Then you're making a straight line. But now if you click and drag, you can kind of click and drag and now fill in that little area down there. And again, don't worry if it's not perfect. You could fix it later. And again, you have a change of direction here, so just click on the point. And then go up here, and I'm just going to click and drag and make the ears just kind of bend out. And then I'll click on the point. And then I'll go here and I'll bend just a little bit. And I'll click on the point. And I'll go here and click and drag a little. Now I should probably zoom in. So I'm still live here. So I'm going to click and then drag and just make a little arch on his head. And then I'll click on the point. And then I'll go up here because I don't want a straight line. Even if you made a straight line, that's okay. But I'm going to click and drag to just kind of bend it out a little. And then I'm going to click here. And now when I go down here, I'm going to click and drag again and make them come out. And then we have a change of direction. So I'm going to click to remove the handle. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and move over before I do anything so I can see the rest of this wing over here. So I'm just going to kind of get in position. And I'm going to kind of mirror what I did over here. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to click and drag. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We could always edit it later. But I'm just going to click and drag. And now if you go over here, we could kind of use this. You could get rid of this or you could kind of use it. I don't think having this handle here is going to be a problem. Let me just try to click and drag here. And it might be a little problem. And actually, if you want to undo, you can undo. And then say, well, you know what? I'm going to just click on the handle and get rid of it. And now you could go here and make a straight line and then draw that fresh. And that's probably a little bit better because you don't have that handle kind of affecting your next path. Now, again, it's not perfect, so we're going to have to go back and edit it. But again, you have a handle sticking out here, so get rid of it. And then move on. And here we're just going to click and drag and make that little scallop shape. That's why we practice the scallop shape. We're just going to click. And if you go this way, you know you're going the wrong way. So just go this way and then drag it out. And remember, you're using that back handle to kind of lay in there and be that kind of back of the bat wing. And then here, just click off of that, click on the point, come here, do the same thing. Just start to drag in the direction of the curve where it's going, just like a little ski jump here. You're kind of going off, and then that back handle will fill in. And I'm going to scroll a little bit. and just get ready for the next one. And then I'll click on the point to get rid of that. And then I'll just do this next shape and just click and drag. And remember, this might scroll your screen a little. And in Illustrator, this scrolls your screen really fast. It can really be kind of frustrating. And again, here, I'll just click off because I don't want any forward handles. And I'll go to the next one and just make a little loop here. And then again, I'm just clicking to get rid of the forward handle. Click and drag, and then click to get rid of the forward handle. And then I'll move over here before I do anything else. Now, you could do one here. You could do a little one here because this is a pretty big loop, but I'll try to do it with one. I'll try to just drag and pull that in there, and that should be fine. And I'll get rid of the forward handle. And this is not a real steep arch, so that should be easy. And again, it's scrolling my screen a little bit, and that's okay. And again, get rid of the forward handle. Go here, finish this one off. Get rid of the forward handle. And I'll go up here, and then this is the one I think it makes your forward handle disappear. So if you go in here and click and drag, you can see the forward handle disappears, but I guess that's okay. And then just fill that in, and that's it. And then just go on your sub-select tool. Now you could fill this thing in. You could go click on here if you want, and if you want to make it black, you could fill the whole thing in with black as a fill. Actually, that's doing the... It looks like I made the stroke there because there is no fill. Actually, that I could get rid of that. Actually, I could get rid of the border and then give it a fill. I'll hit the plus sign. Now it's black, and that's pretty good. The only thing I might want to go is zoom in and check on the ears because they look a little. They should be a little pointer, I think. So I'm using the sub select tool, and I'm just making my ears a little pointy. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect here. It's just a cartoon bat. And if you want to make the ears a little longer, that might actually look better. If they have kind of a little longer ears there. And anything else, if you want to make that a little narrower. But that looks pretty good. That's all you need for the bat. You don't have to put any like vampire teeth or anything on like that unless you want to. But that's pretty good. Even over here, I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, you could try to pull that out a little bit. But, you know, they're going to be kind of small on our page. So that's the bat. That's all you have to do there. You're done with the bat. And we're going to copy this then and put it into our flyer once we're ready. But right now, you're done. So make sure you save. And make sure it syncs. And you're done with the bat. And that's the end of part 1 of the video. So for part 2 of the video, we're going to do the cat. And then part 3 and probably part 4, it'll probably take 2 more parts to do the flyer because there's a lot of stuff to do on the flyer. But for part 2 of the video, I'm going to work on the cat and trace the cat. Now, this is the cat, and it's not that bad. So we should be able to do this pretty quick. And there's a lot of straight kind of lines here. And it should be just practice. That's all it is practice. Plus, you get to trace your own piece of artwork to put in your flyer. And then that way you could have some artwork that you actually traced and some of them that you're using the auto trace, which we'll go over that when we start working on the flyer. Probably at the end of the flyer, we'll start doing that. So that's the end of part 1. We'll pick up with part 2 doing the cat.